This is the project we're going to do today. It's a window card, and it is opening up to show the entire scene. And I'm going to use some parchment cardstock from the Paper Studio from Hobby Lobby. This is going to be an A2 size card, so I'm scoring it at 4 1/4. And I am going to use the Spellbinders Grand Christmas Lattice Arch die set to create the window on the front of the card. So I'm going to use some low-tack tape to tape the die into place, and also the inner die that's going to cut out the inside of the window. And after I cut the die with my die cutting machine, I carefully remove the dies from the card base. And then I'm going to use my pokey tool to remove any paper that's stuck in the die, and also to make sure that all the different pieces are going to be out in the card base. And here I'm going to use my craft knife to cut just a couple of little spots that my die cutting machine didn't manage to cut. And now I'm carefully going to close the card base and use my bone folder to make a nice crease, and also I'm going to use it to flatten out any of the marks left by the die. And now I'll use a brown from the Earth Tones Paper Studio paper from the Hobby Lobby, and I've cut it a little bit smaller than an A2 size, and I'm going to glue it onto that front panel. And I'm going to set that die back in that it cut open the window, and use some low-tack tape again, and I'm going to cut it out with my die cutting machine. And once I've cut it out, I'm going to carefully remove the die to reveal now the open window. And here I've got some 80-pound Nina Classic Crest Solar White, which is cut to a little slightly less than an A2 size, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now I'm going to use the Hero Arts Lavender Field stamp set to stamp a scene onto this piece of cardstock. Okay, now I'm going to stamp the different layers, and I'm first using my stamping platform, and I'm going to position the first layer, which is the lightest green layer, so that it's just going to poke out through the window. And I'm going to start out by using some Stampin' Up Old Olive to stamp in that lightest green area. Then I'm going to position that second layer. Sorry, my head is in the way. And I'm going to use some Stampin' Up Garden Green for this layer. And I'm actually going to stamp it twice to get it a little bit darker, clean off my stamp. And now I'm going to start stamping the flower layers. And so this is the lightest purple. And again, sorry for my head in the way, but I'm going to stamp this with Stampin' Up Wisteria Wonder to get that first layer of the lavender. And then I'll position the final layer. And I'm going to ink that up with Stampin' Up Perfect Plum. And first I thought I'd stamp that larger set of buildings on the horizon line there, but I thought that was a little bit too large, so I decided to go with the smaller building. Again, sorry for my head. And I'm setting that in my positioner. And I'll ink up the little house with some Memento Tuxedo Black ink. Now I'm going to use a stencil that I made using some cloud border dies, and I am just inking in some clouds using some Stampin' Up Marina Mist ink. And now I'm positioning the sentiment in my stamping platform so that it's not going to show from the outside. I'm going to stamp this on the inside panel. So once I've got that positioned, I'm going to use some jet black archival ink to stamp in the sentiment. And I don't want to have that white border at the bottom, so I'm just using the same green that I used to ink up the lavender field to add a little color to that bottom strip. Now I'll use another sentiment from an Artsy stamp set. I don't really know the name of the stamp set, but it fits perfectly down on that strip at the bottom. And so I'm going to ink that in with the archival ink to finish off the inside panel.
Okay, and so here's the final card. Rather simple outside of the card, and then the inside is just a simple scene. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye!